Hey there. This is the fourth in a series of videos that I've been doing on how to become unblocked, how to hack into your creativity, all about the inner game of painting. So often we think about painting and making art from the external part, looking at the outer game. This series focuses on the inner game instead. So this is creativity hack number 4. Look for the extraordinary in the ordinary. One of the biggest problems that I see with my students that they run into over and over again that gets them stopped, gets them blocked, is that they are waiting for the perfect subject, looking for that perfect thing to paint. There's really no such thing. So don't wait around for the perfect subject. Just paint. Get started with the world that's right in front of you. Don't wait around for that perfection. Look at what's out in your surrounding world. What's available to you to paint? It could be the interior of your house. It could be a still life in the kitchen. Hey, Carson and Peggy and Ann and Yvonne, it's good to see y'all. It could be your coffee mug. I saw a wonderful series of paintings one time that was done by an artist who had gotten herself blocked, and she unblocked herself by making a painting a day of a bowl, the same bowl, for 30 days. Each one was subtly different. Each one was a little bit unique. And in that, looking and giving her attention to that same object over and over again, her observation skills began to develop. Her painting enthusiasm returned, and it led her in a whole new direction. So get started with what's right in front of you. It could be your backyard. It could be your dog. It could be your coffee mug. It doesn't matter what it is. It just matters that you paint. Second thing about finding the extraordinary in the ordinary is to cultivate deep seeing and close observation. Our culture doesn't encourage that. We're really fast-paced. We talk fast, we move fast, we walk fast, unless you're Southern and we're a little slower. But all kidding aside, we don't spend enough time just looking and looking closely. What I mean by that and by deep seeing is being still and really observing those small details. Most of the time, we glance at things and we let our brain substitute what it knows or thinks it knows for what we're really seeing. When you begin to look closely, it becomes so much easier to find what is really extraordinary about the everyday world. What's extraordinary about our ordinary daily lives. So when you're doing that, when you're observing closely and you're looking closely, you begin to see the beauty in the ordinary. I ran into that myself, found that myself when I was doing my first daily painting project. And I set myself the challenge of painting what I could see from the side of the road every day for 90 days. Not waiting around until I find the perfect sunset, the perfect lighting, the perfect landscape, but just what I could see that day from either in my car or the edge of the road. When you do that, you begin to pay more attention, that's that close observation thing, to what's surrounding you. And I was not particularly thrilled with what was surrounding me at that time. I found it kind of boring, and I, in my head, put it down as not being as beautiful as the place I really wanted to be. Instead, I found myself falling in love with where I was. Ended up writing a whole blog post about that. I'll share the link to that here after I hop off. But the main point there was that looking and seeing is actually really one of the physiological steps towards falling in love with something. Not just with your boyfriend, your girlfriend, your wife, your husband, but with a place, with a thing. Looking leads to deep connection. So that close observation lets you really fall in love with things that you might not have even noticed before. The beauty of a fence post, beauty of a bowl, the beauty of a simple leaf pattern, the beauty of a fence line or a tree line. It's not necessarily in what we consider a picturesque spot. The trouble with the picturesque is the same thing that's the problem with the pretty. There's nothing wrong with addressing the picturesque or the pretty on the occasional at the occasional time. But what happens if that's all we address is that we begin to think that we can't have it in our regular lives. And there is a real gift that artists have in helping other people to see the beautiful and that extraordinary in their own ordinary lives. When you do that, you add a layer of magic to the experience of living. And isn't that what we want to do with our art? It's certainly what we want to do ourselves as people living a life. So think about those steps that you can take. Get started with the world right in front of you. Don't wait around for something to appear that's going to be perfection. Look for the extraordinary in the ordinary world. And know that when you do that, you are delivering one of the greatest gifts that you can give to your viewers, whether they become your collectors or not. You help them see the world in an entirely different way. One of the things that I talk about a lot in my courses, and certainly in talking about learning to see color, is that the more you look, the more you're going to see. So the more you look at the world around you, the more colors you're going to see, the more vivid textures you're going to see. You're going to see a whole heightened world that's been there all along, but you are probably just moving too fast in order to be able to see it. So I hope that's been helpful, and I hope that you can share that vision that you end up having with your own audience. Look for that extraordinary in the everyday and the ordinary. Elizabeth says, do you recommend keeping these daily paintings on the small side, 5x7 or 6x8? I don't have much free time. Absolutely, Elizabeth. I did them between 4x6 inches and 5x7 inches. So yeah, small makes it really easy to finish fast. So working small makes it so much easier to do a small 20-minute painting or a small daily painting. So when you're working on trying to find the beauty in the ordinary, it doesn't have to be every day, but you're going to get more out of it if you do it every day. So yeah, Barbara says, wow, this is what I've been doing the last month since moving. It's been hard. Moving can be hard. I know exactly what you're talking about because you're in a different space and it can be hard to find your rhythm again. But the truth is, if you practice this process, you're going to fall in love with your new space so much faster. And not only that, you'll discover all of the little details that are intriguing about the new space. It's a really great way to explore your new surroundings. It's what I'm doing. So all of these are things that I found out by doing it the hard way myself. So I am painting in a fairly new to me area and I'm fascinated by a place that's not far from here in my house in Savannah, the Savannah Wildlife Refuge that's just across the river in South Carolina. It's a huge, big national refuge. It's like a national park run by the National Park Service. And it's protecting all of these old rice fields It's a huge zone of wetlands and woods. And exploring that through painting is a really great way for me to connect with the new space and place that I'm in as I share time between Columbia and Savannah. So you can discover a whole new world by looking at it really closely and feel so much more connected to it so much more quickly. So it benefits you, but it also benefits your followers and your collectors long term. So I think it's cool that you're already doing that, Barbara. Way to go, and keep it up, because that's going to make a big difference to you in that move. So cool beans. You're most welcome, Joan. So I hope y'all find that helpful. The other creativity hacks that we've talked about so far, number 3 was meet inspiration halfway. Don't wait to be inspired. Do the work. Show up on a regular basis. Number 2 was that studio is a state of mind. It's not necessary to have a great big fancy dedicated studio space. Studio is the state of mind you get into and the habit and the routine that you create around making art. And number 1 was walk, move your feet, because it has been shown scientifically that the actual process of movement, of walking, particularly if you can walk in the natural world, sparks creative ideas. Many of the world's most creative people talk about walking as being a part of their creative process. So go back to my blog and take a look at those others if you're curious at all. But I want you to let me know how you're putting some of these into practice. Let me know if they resonate. Let me know if there are other things that you like to do to spark creativity. So thank you for joining me here today. Happy painting, everybody. And I look forward to seeing you soon. Take care. Bye-bye for now.